through your freedom.
Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It's been far too long, has it not? Well, to start off, I missed the Friday free-for-all because of this. I got a couple of dents in my head. Had a rough Friday. I would have felt better about it if I had been in a fight. Instead, I got in a fight with a chandelier and lost. Don't ask any more questions. Anyways, I needed to take a step back. So over the weekend, I got out to nature and got some relaxation in. Wanted to clear my head. And then when I came right back to it, here we are right now. It is the 30th of March. Right? April Fool's is Tuesday. Trump has some kind of super secret message for Wednesday, April 2nd. Tomorrow, the 31st of March, is Silver Day. Silver Day. All of the silver apes and silver fanatics and silver stackers and precious metal people are going to try and squeeze the banks, all of the bullion banks and big investment firms, see if they can't pull a GameStop / nickel move, if you guys know what those are. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, folks. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And what I want to know is what is on your mind. What are you thinking about? This is your show. It is Sunday Night Live. This is the zoo. We've got the preparedmind.club, YouTube. We got subscribestar.com, and we have X and Facebook. And we'll be bouncing off of, BitChute and Rumble and a lot of other places. I'm sure we're on Instagram, and who knows how many bootleg versions of this program there are. But understand, believe, and act accordingly when I say there will be thousands who will have watched this by time it's over. So if you have something to say it in the comment section. But better than that, there's a super chat button right up there. And then down below, we have Venmo, CashApp, PayPal. That sponsors the show, keeps the lights on, pays for the servers, pays for our subscriptions, also keeps, believe it or not, Spam, which is a pork product for all the Jihad Joes out there. And then, tuna fish, and of course, Scotch. And I have a slightly used bottle of Glenlivet 15 right here, waiting to dip in. Any super chat donation of $50 or more buys me a Scotch. And we're going to start today's show off with a $50 donation from Darcy T. Thank you, Darcy. And that's right. You guessed it. A $52.23 super chat from Chin Music. And we've got some very interesting thoughts. Now, again, this is your show. Sunday Night Live. I'm going to finish off my cup of cafefe.com coffee. This is patriotic coffee, not like that communist, socialist, black rifle shit that they fooled us on, but now we know who they are. That. Good to the last drop. Very good coffee. Cafefe.com is they don't directly sponsor the show, but they sponsor the show, if you know what I mean. In any event, all of you are the show sponsor. This is the big one. Sunday Night Live. It is the zoo. So let's do this. Let's start off. And number one, thumbs up or give it a heart. Share the internet address up there. Hit the share button down below. Whatever app you're on, whatever program, whatever social media, do that. Share it with friends, family, coworkers, and even your fucking enemies, because we want them pissed off. And they are pissed. The enemy of America, the enemy of freedom, the enemy of decency, good morality, the enemy, well, they hate us. And I want them mad as hell because I'm ready for them to act out. Oh, it's coming, folks. It's coming. So we got Uman in back, and he is checking out the comments. He's the moderator with the big blue wrench. We're going to have one heck of a good show. I want your thoughts, though, down below. Super chat button. Get you on here. Let's do this, though. Let's get right into it. And we've got Darcy T with her $50 PayPal super chat donation. And this right here will lubricate the old mind, if you will. That one's for you, Darcy. Well, it's for me also. So this is how we kick off the show every week between Chin Music and Darcy. Semper Fi to you, Darcy. God bless. God bless America. Here we are. Oh, this is a good one. Like mother's milk. So she says, John, hope your forehead is okay. This is the big one. She says, here's my question for the zoo. According to an article in Newsweek and other publications, Trump thinks it's a good idea to join the British Commonwealth as an associate member. So we fought a war to be free from British rule, only to become part of it a few hundred years later? My guess is that this is a part and parcel of the coming alliance between U.S., Canada, and Greenland in prep for one world order. I got to tell you, when I read this, I thought, what the motherfuck is going on? That's what I said to myself. I said, self, what the fuck is going on with this? I think this is a bit of trolling, if you ask me. It's either fake media or trolling, Trump messing with their heads. The same way, you know, he messed with Mexico and he messed with Canada and he messed with Greenland. He seems to do that. Seems to have some fun with it. But I did read that and I thought, is there any validity to this? Well, let's just take a little step back, if we shall, in history. 1776, we said, enough of your shit, King George of England. We declare ourselves independent of you and we have a right to self-determination and self-governance. And men fought and died. Families lost mothers, daughters, sons, fathers to free ourselves. If anyone thinks for 1 second, 1 iota, that America is going to fall back under the British Commonwealth, not a fucking chance. Now, from the British perspective, they didn't think they lost the war. I mean, we have this game that is played, right? This game that's played, this idea that, well, no, that Britain still owns us, that America, there's theories that run around there that America has to pay royalties or taxes to the king still. You know, and the King of England still owns the country, and the Vatican owns England, so we have to pay the Vatican also. You know, that's a lot of conspiracy theory in there that's not the best founded in factuality. But now, just going back to where we're looking at Canada, saying they're the 51st state, that looks like Canada would become part of the United States, not so much that we would become part of the British Commonwealth. I mean, the King of England, Charles, is a complete asinine moron. The entire royal family are a bunch of pedophiles and freaks. But the only one that was almost normal was Princess Diana, and she was actually a petulant bitch, you know, married into a bunch of people. She said they ain't human. And now England is giving itself to Allah. Literally. They're going to become an Islamic nation. Italy is not far behind, and Germany and France and the rest of Europe. The Muslims are making a big play and a big push in Canada and also in New York and then parts of Texas. This is going to come to a head. If you think for 1 second that I'm going to allow someone to put loudspeakers blah, 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 3 or 4 times a fucking day and waking me up on the weekends. That's just not going to happen. Sharia law, not going to happen in America. Now, maybe in some areas. The Islamification of the Western world is an affront to Christianity and all that's decent. I really believe they want it, though. I believe the elites think that they can live as they want, just like, shall we say, royal families in the Middle East. And the rest of us will have to submit, bend the knee, or, face Islamic hatred and violence. So when you say become part of the British Commonwealth, well, the British Commonwealth is becoming part of it's a subsidiary to Mecca, right? It's just another fealty state under the Islamic theocracy. Forget it. As far as, Britain, England, not a fucking chance. But yeah, they're floating this idea. It's rather odd, rather disturbing, if you ask me. Anyways, no chance. As far as America joining Canada, look, I love Canadians, but the major cities down there in Eastern Canada are fucking worthless. They're full of socialist leftists. They're absolutely horrifying. I don't want anything to do with that. As far as Greenland goes, that's going to be an interesting development. I have a funny feeling that Greenland is going to become a United States territory. A United States territory. And it seems odd to say such things because we haven't seen a huge political realignment since the end of World War II. Then at the end of World War I, but even let's just say the Caribbean islands, much smaller than Greenland, of course. But the Caribbean islands used to belong to European nations until they were like, you know what? These islands cost us money. There's no real value coming out of them. There's not enough taxes and value in sugar and pineapples and bananas to make it worth our while. And so they just walked away from these countries, these islands, all the way through the Caribbean. But Greenland is larger, and it's got strategic minerals as well as a strategic location for defense. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to blow my wad right here. I want the United States of America out of NATO. Those fucking people are asking for just World War III. The World Economic Forum, the New World Order wants World War III to bring us all down so they can subjugate us. We need to get away from there. They just tried assassinating Putin a couple days ago, blew up a limousine with a bomb. It was an assassination attempt. They missed, and now Putin is just smoking Ukraine with drone and other aerial attacks. Trump says he's mad as hell at Putin. Trump should be mad as fuck at Mossad, MI6, Interpol, and the European Union, as well as the World Economic Forum, for trying to assassinate Putin, who already said, look, if you guys kill me, there will be a nuclear retaliation. Well, they didn't kill him, so they're just getting a regular retaliation. There's going to be, in my opinion, a realignment of world powers. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be monetary. It's going to be allies for trade partners as well as military. Right? There's going to be new, shall we say, political lines drawn, geographic lines like Greenland and other areas. Maybe certain provinces in Canada will ask or vote. I think it would have to go up to vote to be annexed by the United States of America. And then the United States of America has to annex them, which requires congressional action. And Congress is full of a bunch of spineless, worthless, weak-kneed, lily-livered, chicken shit Republicans who will do nothing with the authority that they have. We have the House of Representatives, and the Senate. How many rogue judges have been impeached? 0. How many of these leftist scumbags that committed treason, like Schiff, Hillary, Obama, Schumer, Pelosi, Vindeman? 0. No one's been arrested. No one's being prosecuted. How many Epstein clients have been arrested and named publicly? 0. Washington is a sack of shit. So I'm sitting down here in the great state of Florida after clearing my head this weekend thinking, just what the hell is going to happen? We're going to have to find out, folks. But back to Darcy T's question, right? Is there a coming alliance between the U.S., Canada, and Greenland? Possibly. One world order, new world order. We're going to definitely have a different world order, is my opinion. I don't rule anything out, though, Darcy. I don't. It is a shit show. And you and I and all of us here are prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. I pray, and you've got a plan. If you have money past that, I sure hope you've got silver and or gold. My recommendation is sdbullion.com and Miles Franklin. Those are 2 bullion dealers that I've worked with. I've worked with others, but I prefer those 2 when helping others get protected. You see, if there's a bank collapse, a hack, we saw and we are continuing to see that they can hack into systems and cause them to fail. Stock market could go to 0. That's still 1 ounce of silver right there. Plus, it's got a nice Marine Corps emblem on it that just makes me happy to see. It's kind of like a double win for me. It's an ounce of real silver, and it reminds me of who I am. Who I am. I don't think that a little philosophical here. I think we are who we are, and we were born who we're going to be when we're adults, and we just have to go through the processes and pick up the ribbons and badges as we go. Whether you become a Marine or a soldier, a sailor or an airman, that's who you were when you were born. You just had to get there. Whether you become a Lions Club or a Rotarian or a Sir Optimus or a Mason or an Oddfellow or a Moose or an Elk, you were born that, and you just had to find your way there. And as Americans and people around the world who want liberty, you were born free. You are free. We just have to get there. All right, that's enough of my philosophy for now. Let's move on to Chin Music, who this week has done a $52.23 super chat donation. And again, your super chat donations keep the lights on, pay some of the bills, keep us well lubricated mentally, keep spam, and oh yes, even some bacon around. It's kind of like garlic is for vampires, only it's even more effective. Pork products to keep Jihad Joe away. And for all who aren't familiar with who Jihad Joe is, it's these guys. These fucking guys right here who want to take over the entire Western civilization so that they can rape your sons and your daughters. Oh yeah, they love to rape little boys, as well as your wives, and well, stick you with a sword. Anyways, Chin Music, here we go. Oh, woo! Oh yeah, the gears are turning. This is Chin Music's rant. He says, this isn't whataboutism, it's shut the fuck upism. Full disclosure, the Signal chat thing, this is with Pete Hegseth and the rest of the crew there in Washington, D.C. The full disclosure, the Signal chat thing is bad and someone should be held accountable. But here's what needs to stop, and I mean pronto. Communist Democrats suddenly pretending to care about national security. And here goes Chin Music. He says, 1, they let the Taliban, Chinese, and every other foreign adversary pour across the border and walk through my neighborhood. And he says, I have pictures. For 4 years, unvaccinated, to go God knows where while bald, tiny shoulders, soft handshake, beta Alejandro Mayorkas said the border was secure. And the Democrats said nothing. The FBI has made arrests in 2 different states already involving guns, C4, and first responder uniforms. An attack is inbound. Number 2, one of my friends is dead from fuck Joe Biden's withdrawal in Afghanistan. Democrats said nothing as 13 Marines died and civilians were stranded. There was actually an Army soldier in there as well, I believe. He, Joe Biden, did have time to check his watch, though. During the dignified transfer of their caskets at Dover Air Force Base, it's on tape again. They said nothing. Democrats said nothing. Moving along. Number 3, fuck Joe Biden drained our wartime strategic petroleum reserves in an effort to keep oil prices down for the midterms and never refilled it. 4, fuck Joe Biden sent the vast majority of our munition stockpile, that's military bombs, rockets, and missiles, to Ukraine to cover his ass and the ass of his boss, Obama, for a war that helped start back in 2014. Do your homework, says Chin Music. Look up Victoria Nuland, Nuland, and her leaked phone call to the Ukrainian ambassador. Number 5, Benghazi, Hillary. What difference does it make now? Clinton got our ambassador killed, not to mention some of our special forces men who did everything they could to the very end. Number 6, Bill Clinton sold our rocket stabilization technology to the Chinese for a $1 million campaign contribution. Look up Charlie Tree. That's Charlie, T-R-I. China could not get an ICBM or rocket into low Earth orbit until Bill Clinton, and I'm just ad-libbing here what I know from it, till Bill Clinton gave them the technology to do it. That's a fact. I remember when it happened. Before that, they couldn't seem to get a missile to go up straight and fly around a low Earth orbit. Number 7, they let the country burn and defunded the police, and citizens and businesses get attacked coast to coast for months when St. George Floyd did the world a solid and overdosed. Number 8, the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd, the loser Darth Vader, Austin, disappeared into a hospital without telling fuck Joe Biden, who wouldn't have remembered anyway, which leads to my last point, number 9. And all of these points are in reference to national security. The commie Democrats and their lapdog bought and paid for media covered for a president they knew was non-compos mentis for years. In other words, incompetent. But Chin is using the Latin vernacular. He says, every bill he signed should be void on its face because mentally incompetent people are not, they're not capable of engaging in contract, doing business. It's like a minor. Now, here we go. Chin Music says, I'm just speaking off the top of my head. There's more, much, much more. So communist Democrats can take their fake outrage about a breach of national security and stick it in their boyfriend's backside. He will probably enjoy it. Hashtag Democrats, the enemy from within. Now, they are a domestic enemy group. They're a domestic terrorist group. They are right now across the country promoting, encouraging, and inciting violence against people, property, businesses, as well as threatening judges and politicians they don't agree with. Literally, folks, we are very close. Very, very close. Now, thank you, Mr. Chin Music. Very good points there. Now, looking into the Signal app thing a little more, we discovered that there was no national security leak. There was no plans that were leaked. The Atlantic, a mainstream media toilet paper of note, bullshitted and made up a bunch of crap and said it was war plans and strategy and attack plans. Now, after the Signal app, how many people died as a consequence of that leak? First off, the man who was put on that list should be charged as a spy because he screenshotted it and leaked it, when he should have said, this is potentially a national security issue. I need to contact the authorities because I was put on this and I shouldn't be held responsible, and I don't want to be responsible for it. Instead, he was irresponsible and he leaked it out into the world. So yeah, he should be done. And the jackass that put him on that Signal app multi-message should be in trouble as well. Now, I'm going to tell you what, I think the Signal app is a great program. But apparently, the CEO of NPR, National Public Radio, who is an anti-American socialist piece of shit, and that's being generous. I think she's on the board of Signal as well, which makes me question and wonder, how secure are these items, and is there a back door access so they can spy on us? Wouldn't surprise me at all. Fortunately, I am not a criminal, and I know you guys aren't either, but we are patriots. A lot of us are veterans. All of us are Americans, and you should be a prepper. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan for the area, 10-mile radius around you. Understand, folks, we are targeted. We're 27, almost 28 minutes into Sunday Night Live, and you guys are awesome. Super chat button is right up there, and that's how you get onto the screen. Chin Music and Darcy T, they used Venmo and PayPal. But you guys, if you do if you do a super chat, we'll get your questions right onto the screen. So we're going to get into this. There is a lot of crazy news out there over the weekend, folks. I want to hear what is important to you, though. As I said earlier, I want to know what's important to you. We have some serious intellectual vagrancy going on around the world. Ooh, man, quick message there for you. When I say vagrancy, I mean it. Intellectual vagrancy. Now, a second ago, I touched on these idiots in Canada, Australia, Washington, D.C., London, and the European Union who are allowing death to enter their country. But it is not just the Islamification of the West, but the anti-white, anti-civilization, anti-everything culture that's developing around the world. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Appreciate that. Here we go. Okay. I want to go into this. It is not only the Islamification and Jihad Joe. The Constitutional Court of South Africa said that, quote, kill the Boer, kill the farmer is not hate speech. In South Africa, the Boer, B-O-E-R, is the white man that lives there. And they are also the farmers. Isn't it funny how farmers grow food, livestock, so that people can eat? What is one of the things we see and read about Africa quite often? Many African nations, both north, south, east, and west, and central, is they're starving because they don't know how to grow their own fucking food. So in South Africa, they want to kill the white farmers, kill the Boer. This is white genocide. Now, there is something of note about South Africa, and I need to confirm this, but when the Dutch, who speak a type of German language, I know I'm going to get in trouble here with people who And then the English, they settled South Africa. White settlers and, of course, blacks were brought in. This is back in colonial times, hundreds of years ago, folks. They settled the land where no one was living. They started farming it and made lives for themselves. And now they're being told that the country isn't theirs and that they should be killed. Well, I'm outraged by the stupidity. But Trump, the administration, says no military aid to South Africa. I think no aid at all to South Africa until they learn that, killing people in your country is illegal. I mean, since when is murder not considered illegal? Anyways, war, folks, is not murder. War is war. Is the black government of South Africa at war? Did they declare war against the whites? It's really just disgusting. I couldn't care if they're calling this hate. The South African Constitutional Court said it's not hate speech. I don't care if it's hate speech or not. But calling for violence and murder is absolutely wrong. So between the Islamics who say you convert, well, there's different levels. First, they show up and ask for special privilege. Then they get a little more of them. They say, well, we want equality. And then they get a minority, or rather a majority status, and they say, you're going to pay a special tax for not being Muslim. And then when they have a super majority, then they start killing people for not converting into Islam. And if you're in a black country, they're communist socialists, folks. These are not good people. There's plenty of good nations around Africa, but the South Africans are communist, literally. And they're calling for murder and death. Not a good place to be. Not good at all. Where are you going to run, folks? Where are you going to hide? Nowhere. So defend the homeland like you've got no other, because we have no other. Have no other. In England, one last thing before we get to your super chat donations. There is a city in England where they're trying to build a super mosque, a mega mosque. And local business and local building materials suppliers have said, we're done. We're not selling you guys anything. We're not helping you. We're not providing products. We don't want your shit here. People are waking up. People are starting to fight back. Look, I don't like the murder and death that's going on in Gaza. I don't like the murder and death that's going on in Israel. I don't like the murder and death in the Middle East. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Fuck them. Let them deal with their own shit. Ukraine is Ukraine, and they're trying to drag the United States of America into it. I want out of that. They're literally driving the world to become nationalist and separatist. Like I said, the New World Order, I don't know if it's going to be a new world order, but we're going to have a new world alliance system. And I think the United States needs to back away from Europe. We need to back away from Canada until Canada wakes the fuck up. They tariff the shit out of us. Canada tariffs you. But the moment you say, hey, then we're going to tariff you back, all of a sudden we're the bad guys. America, you guys are America bad. Sorry, but fuck you, Canadian government. You tariff us. Now, there's always ways to make a deal. We'll get back to that later, just like there's a way to make a deal with everyone else. There is no dealing with Europe. Europe is now lost. If Italy wants to be our friend because Maloney has got half a brain, good. Viktor Orban in Hungary, good. I think Fico up in Slovakia has got a decent brain between his ears, but there's not a whole lot that's decent. Romania's trying, folks. The rest of the continent wants to get out from under the European Union, but they can't. There's going to be violent revolution there. And we're going to find out whether Europe wakes up one day and is free, or whether they wake up to Islamic call to prayer. All right, this is your show. Let's get back into it. Mr. Uman, who's next on the Prepared Mind channel? And we've got Dan the Man Erickson checking in. Oh, I was waiting for this. He did a $5 super chat donation. He says, my 85 shares of Tesla stock I bought at $235 or $234 a share, has already made a $2,500 profit in 12 days. I remember when you wrote up there that, yeah, you were buying a shitload, a boatload of Tesla, and then the next day it went up significantly. Congratulations on that move. They tried to kill Elon Musk. They're trying to still kill Tesla, and that is going to be a big part of what is happening in this country. After a month, you would think these idiots, these leftist Democrat people would realize and understand. They would realize and understand that there's cameras on all Teslas that face all directions and they record everything. They're keying cars. They're spray painting them. They're committing obscene acts. And then they're getting arrested. I love it. And Tesla went right back up. There is going to be some interesting things that happen, folks, with Tesla and Elon Musk over the next few months. It'll be interesting to watch. All right, share the internet address right up there. Hit the share button down below. Friends, family, coworkers, get this link out so people can wake the fuck up. It is that bad. It is, folks. It is that bad. And anyways, again, congratulations, Dan the man. Nice one. Now, while we're talking about Tesla, a foul-mouthed anti-Tesla protester decided he was going to slap a brown belt jiu-jitsu guy. Well, he thought he was just a regular comedian, right? Smart mouth comedian, a pro-Musk, pro-Trump type guy. So this idiot slaps the young man. The young man give him a fucking slap back, and then he ended up just taking the dude down and beating the shit out of this anti-American, anti-Tesla communist fuck. And what it said to me is there's a lot to be said for being prepared and having to defend oneself, because you never know when just a everyday interaction with somebody can become violent. Now, this young man, the pro-Musk jiu-jitsu master, well, he's brown belt. I'm not going to mess with a brown belt jiu-jitsu dude. I'm a peace-loving man. Right? He could have walked away, but he decided to have a conversation. And the leftist became violent. Surprise! I'm glad your Tesla went up, man. That's great. But surprise, they're not going to go away. Now, here's another example. This is why you always are ready, and always have an escape plan as part of the defense. While this guy I just mentioned, this brown belt in jiu-jitsu, was prepared physically to fight, we have an example of someone who wasn't and isn't capable. Try this, a 61-year-old woman, right? I would say 99.999% of 61-year-old women are not mixed martial arts experts. But I bet a lot of them carry Glocks, Colts, Smiths, SIGs, Berettas, or whatever it is that suits their fancy, Rugers, etc., etc. But this 61-year-old woman was just driving along in her Tesla, and some asshole leftist cut in front of her, boxed her in, right, and then started beating the shit out of her through the window. So a man, or at least someone who has a semblance of a man, did this and was beating the shit out of a 61-year-old woman. She was just sitting in her car and trapped and stuck. Folks, Democrats are lawless cowards. They like to pick on weak targets. Like this one guy thought he was going to pick on a young man, right? So what I think we're doing is we're planning. Is I think Dan the Man, Man, and Chin Music are all going to wear gray wigs for the next 4 weeks to see if they can attract Democrat terrorists. And, right, see what happens. I don't know. I tell you what, I drive around with my my Trump hat just to see if anyone has anything to say. And I've only gotten a couple of dirty looks. Right? Maybe I just don't look all that friendly in person. Anyways, they look for weak targets, folks, when they outnumber you, when they think you're alone. Always be prepared. All right. Thank you, Dan the man. Mr. Uman, we've got Redneck Roughneck. He says, I don't really have a use for one, but if Elon gave me a Cybertruck, you're damn skippy, I would drive it to town on purpose. Oh, I would put stickers on there that says, I dare you. You know, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the EV world. They're good for, commuting around town, that sort of thing, but you're not going anywhere in them. You're certainly not towing a trailer or a work truck or a horse truck, cattle truck, livestock. But still, now here's the deal, Redneck Roughneck. I'm going to say most people that drive Teslas are Democrats. I'm just taking a wild stab because they love the EVs. Remember that? Now, the Cybertruck's a little different because trucks being a little more manly. I think Cybertrucks are probably being driven by more Republicans. But the Model Y and S, I think, are probably owned by liberals. So they're keying their own vehicles. They're destroying each other's property. And I take great pleasure in that. Now, when they beat them, smash them, or burn them, well, the insurance company just buys the owner a new one. So Elon Musk is winning. He's also getting massive free advertisement. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, I'm not going to buy a Tesla. It's going to get smashed and bashed. Right? But it is a lot of advertisement. And so they went off this weekend and they showed up at Tesla dealerships. And people have noted, like at one particular location at 12 noon, they all just walked away because they're paid protesters. Paid protesters. Other people took the opportunity to drive up and down the protest lines, playing very loud music and having Trump and Doge flags flying from their vehicles. And some people yelling out their window at them and having fun, just harassing them. In other words, folks, rather than just backing down and being quiet, people are getting more revved up against these asshole anti-Americans. Uman says it was also mostly a bunch of geriatric white people too. Are we talking about Tesla drivers? Yes. No.
The protesters.
Yeah. The protesters was it wasn't young pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas terrorist types on the colleges. It wasn't a bunch of BLM retards with pink hair. It wasn't a bunch of Antifa losers. It was mostly older geriatric types. Now, just down the road from me, where the big city is, I go down there and most of the Tesla drivers are a bunch of gray hairs or blue hairs. We used to call old people blue hairs. Not this blue hair, right? But blue hairs, meaning, old grandma's got herself a nice little blue wig. But now that all the fruitcakes, the LGBTQ fruitcakes are out there with colored hair, grandma's like, shit, I'm going back to gray or white. And speaking of them, the LGB crowd is trying to lose the TQ plus crowd. I'm sorry. You married them. You sleep with them. You get the fleas. I don't have any sympathy for these fucking people. They asked for attention, and now you're getting it. We see exactly who you are. You're not just a bunch of fruitcakes. You're a bunch of pro-pedophilia, pro-murder, pro-violence, anti-American, anti-capitalist freaks. Now, for the exceptions, you know who you are. So you don't have to take offense at that, unless you just want to be offended at everything. And then once again, you're on that side where you're offended at every fucking thing. If I have to hear about crackers and fucking honkies and Ghost and Q-Tip and everything else, then you guys can tolerate a little bit of criticism too. Anyways, let's have some more fun. It's your show. It is Sunday Night Live. What do you want to talk about? Super chat button up there gets you right down here. Ooh, man, who's up next? We got Boomer with a $20 super chat donation. Is it just me, or is the size of the comments on screen just massively huge? It's just here. Let's try this. Aha! Let's try this. Okay, that one's better. Right in the middle. There we go. I was like, I couldn't see past it. Boomer says Rhodesia. That's right. Which was Zimbabwe. Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, slaughtered most of their white farmers, which is now a poverty-stricken hellhole. Now, from the year 2009 to 2018, 10 years, I worked with a guy, and he was from Rhodesia. And he was there in military age when they had their civil war, if you want to put it that way. And it was an incredible slaughter, as described. And I didn't push him too much because of my respect for veterans who are in war. If they want to talk about it, they can talk about it. If they don't, they don't. But what he told me was it was horrifying what was done. And they fled Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, to South Africa, and saw similar things happening and fled South Africa for the United States of America. By the way, the man was not a DEI hire. He had a fucking MBA and an incredibly smart and moral, decent human. And so countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa, the United Kingdom, Europe. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Yeah, they're when they leave, when the producers leave a country, even if it's a rich farming country, rich in mineral resources, they become poor. South Africa is an incredibly wealthy country in both farming, and they have a wine community, right? Vineyards. They have an incredible mining industry, diamonds, gold, platinum, and other useful and valuable minerals, but it'll all go to shit. Trust me. We topped 300 people live, and thank you, man. 300 people live. Share the internet address. Thumbs up. Give it a heart. All this stuff. Be sure and subscribe. Be sure and follow on X. Share with friends, family, loved ones. Let's get them here. I'd love to hit 400 before the show is up. We're just under 1 hour, and we've got a long way to go. And every country, that kills off their white farmers, their white miners, their white people, their white it's not smart, right? It's just not smart, right? It'd be like India, the country of India, which has 1.3 billion people. If they went to the owners of every business and every mining company and every farm and killed them and took over. See, it doesn't matter that it's black on white. It's producers. It's non-producers versus producers. So if we take the racial element out of this, in Rhodesia, the non-producers killed and drove off the producers. In South Africa, the non-producers took over and are killing off the producers. In England, the United Kingdom, which includes Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, the non-producers are taking over the producers, and the producers are fleeing. The same thing in Canada. It's happening. A lot of the Canadians in the big cities are heading this way. Other Canadians are like, well, we don't live in those big cities. We're staying here and we love our country, but we would like to be American. When they kill off the producers or take away the rewards of being a producer, it flees. China right now has decided, by the way, this is all SHTF news, folks. Shit has hit the fan. China is now going, you know what? Yeah, China has the authority to take all intellectual property that is within our geographic border and take it as our own. Now, might makes right. And the People's Liberation Army can do whatever the fuck they want in China because it's a communist country operating under a fascist economic model, which is very productive. But now they're claiming everything here is ours. We're keeping it. Fuck everyone else. So once again, kind of a call back to both Boomer and also Darcy T. and also Chin Music and Dan Erickson. Look, folks, we're having a complete global realignment. Complete global realignment. It is not the New World Order. It is a new world rearrangement and new world ally system. I don't think we're going to the one world government version. Instead, we're going to every country is its own country nationalist, which is the opposite of what the one world globalists wanted. They wanted open borders for migration, which means population destruction. They wanted open borders so they didn't have to pay taxes. But now every country is shutting down its borders and charging tariffs. You want to do business? You're going to pay. You want to do business? You're going to pay. I've got no problem with that. Smaller countries are going to have a bigger problem, though, than larger countries like Canada, the United States, Russia, China, countries that have a lot of natural resources or farming, Brazil, Argentina, Peru, Chile, right? They're going to know, hey, we've got a lot of money and wealth. Smaller countries don't have much access. They're in big trouble. Ireland, for example, relies heavily on tourism to support their economy. Guess what? Nobody wants to go to Ireland to see a bunch of stinking Middle Eastern scumbags crapping in the streets, literally throwing their trash everywhere, putting up signs in a language no one can fucking understand, and assaulting men and raping women. Nope. Poverty-stricken hellhole. Boomer, well said. And you would be best to keep those fucking people out of your country. Now, the county I'm in, if I start seeing any signs of this Islamification or other bullshit, I'm going to become very active locally. And I mean very active, because I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to be threatened, harassed, harangued, put upon, intimidated, or in any way made to suffer the indecency and indignity of living around a bunch of fucking scumbags. Now, to that point, local government in my area has decided they're going to clean out the homeless. They've passed ordinance, rules, laws, statutes, if you will, saying no camping unless you go to a campsite. So homeless people don't have any place to stay. No camping. Interesting concept to go with. I'm not big on government power and authority, folks, but if they're not going to allow me to police people, then they better get doing it, and they're doing it here. Anyways, we're above 300 and rising. Share the internet address. Be sure and subscribe, follow, like, heart, everything. Get the message out. And of course, do not forget Washington, D.C. This is where the buck can stop, by closing off the borders. Write, call, text, message, snail mail, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, Congress, the Senate, the House of Representatives, the White House, the congressional hotline interchange. Call them, write them, tell them, seal the borders, and we want our country protected, because, folks, we're in big trouble. We're in big trouble, believe it or not, like it or not. Shit has hit the fan, and we're in huge economic trouble. And we're going to be in military trouble if we stick around and wait for NATO to say, well, we just started a war with Russia. I guess the United States has to join as part of our pact. And other nations that are pushing for violence, like Iran, Yemen, Israel, Syria, we've got big troubles, folks. I don't want to be pulled into World War III. Anyways, let's keep rolling. Let's have some fun with this. We've got, well, I guess fun is a rather relative term, isn't it? I like waking people up. How's that? It gives me a great amount of pleasure to wake people up. Red pill them with truth, facts, etc. Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got bump, ba-da-dum, bump. It's Uman himself, and he says, If all these migrants the West is importing are so great, why are they leaving one of the largest land masses with vast resources to come to the horrible West instead of making their countries great? Yeah, if they want Sharia law, stay in a country that has Sharia law. Well, the fact of the matter is they once they have a high enough population, they admit to what they're doing. They are there to take over civilized countries and bring their caliphate, their theocracy, their religious rule, law to those countries and convert them, period. That's what they're doing. They want to destroy old democracies, old republics, and make them a bunch of goat fucking idiots. There's videos all over the internet, folks, of what women dress like in Syria 30, 40 years ago and how they dress today, in Lebanon 40 years ago compared to today. All through the Middle East, women used to look like women and dress just like modern Western women. And now they wear the hijabs, they wear the burqas. They're destroying civilization, literally. They're not evolving, they're devolving. They're not improving, they're proving themselves to be complete barbaric scum. That's the best way I can put it. They're absolutely scum. So let's continue if we shall. Ooh, man, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got Crunch a Bunch of Candy with a $2 super chat. And he says, where Hamask? Say my name. Where is Ham Ask? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, there it is. It is Ham Ass. How you feeling there, Ham Ass? That is, I hate this fucking thing. I really do. But you sent it. It's part of the show. Yeah. Funny that the Muslims don't like bacon products, pork, swine, but then they call themselves Hamas. Okay, well, no one ever said they were smart, and they've certainly demonstrated that they are not. Thank you, Crunch-a-Buncha. I appreciate that. Is it crunchabunchacandy.com? Is that the website? Crunchabunchacandy.com. That's some delicious, tasty treats. Unless you're on a diet like I am, which is keto diet, no sweets, no sugar, no carbs. I fell off the wagon this weekend, though. I think I drank a dozen alcoholic beverages, and yeah, but I'll get back on. I'll have to rotate on. I'll do some fasting and some other stuff. All right, Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared My channel? We're at the 1 hour mark right now, and we've got a lot to discuss. Chin Music with a $9.99 super chat donation. Folks, get on screen. You'll talk to thousands of people and make a difference. Just like Chin Music, just like Dan the Man, just like Robin, just like everybody. Super chat buttons right up there. And Chin Music says, brown belt guy is emblematic of a lot of us. We are incognito and patiently waiting. At some point, we will not have to wait any longer. Now, Chin Music is down there near Eagle Pass on the Texas-Mexico border. And they've effectively stopped the absolute swarming of our country at those locations. The military is moving in heavy military equipment, and they are manning the border. I find this very fascinating. But on the civilian side, yeah, the brown belt guy is emblematic. There are a shit pile of well-trained Americans out there. Someone like Chin Music is trained physically. He's a brute. Skill-wise, he's a martial artist. And also, when it comes to contemporary weaponry, he's probably armed to the teeth. And there's a lot of us that way. And so if you look on social media, a lot of times you'll see these people trying to do what we call carjackings in intersections. And they pull up to a car and they start banging on the window, trying to pull the door open. And the window rolls down and the driver shoots the person. in self-defense. A lot of times these people rock up to cars, motorcycles, carrying a pistol or a gun. I don't know if they're loaded, but they're threatening, and so the person in the vehicle has a right to defend themselves, and they do. Now, if you are not good with your hands and your feet, or if you're getting older, right, and you don't want to fight with your hands and your feet, you can still defend yourself and your family. Women out there, you should not be afraid. If you don't want to use firearms, there are other non-lethal means to protect yourself. Tasers, bear spray, mace, chemical agents, as well as pepperball guns. Pepperball guns that shoot a pepperball. And when it hits the person, and I think it hurts, and then the ball explodes and kind of envelops them in a cloud of, well, jalapeno gas, right? And it burns the living shit out of their eyes and they can't see. But that is how you protect yourself. If you don't want to use a firearm, right, a real gun. But this is it. And as far as patiently waiting, when it happens, it's going to be quick. There's a lot of discussion out there. And I want to thank Mr. Skylight for getting a hold of me over the weekend as well and letting me know these people are preparing. The left, the maniacal Antifa, BLM, Hamas, Palestinian communist types, as well as sleeper cells in the country. I'm waiting for Trump and Pam Bondi still to release the Epstein list and start arresting politicians and businessmen. I'm feeling that when that happens, if and when that happens, the leftists in Washington, D.C. will give a signal and send, and they're going to send their troops amongst us. How are we doing, Newman? Thumbs up, good? Back to normal? Or is it sketchy? Sketchy? No video, huh? All right, I'll be right back. All right, how about now, Mr. Uman? We looking good again? Okay, very good. Bam! I tell you what, folks, it is time to do more. Thank you, Chin Music, again for the great donation, supporting the channel and the cause is free speech. And I'm starting to see people put all over social media, there is no First Amendment without a Second Amendment. Because over in England, if you speak up, oh shit, yeah, I've got a story on this one. You speak up, and you get arrested. Don't you do it. There we go. In England, folks, jolly old England. Men in England, the United Kingdom, are going to face the toughest sentencing for all crimes. The government has literally come out and said, if you are a white man, we're going to throw the book at you. We'll let migrants and women off. But men are going to suffer the harshest penalties if you're white, literally white. Britain's fucking lost. The United Kingdom government is not our ally. It is not our friend. It is not our cousin anymore. That government is lost. The good people of England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland are still good people. But the government is fucking lost. They are the enemy, the government of the United Kingdom. The government is the enemy of Western civilization. They're killing their own country, culture, traditions, and laws. They are racist. They are anti-white. They are anti-Christian. And the United States of America needs to get the fuck out of NATO and declare all of them persona non grata. Until they straighten up, it should stay that way. Oh, I tell you, folks, I tell you, these people, they want to die. They want to die. They want to kill themselves. They really do. What a world, folks. And Darcy T is continuing to let us know that people are keeling over from the Jim Jones juice. Oh, but we did have someone survive a heart attack. Oh, yeah. Remember when people used to live through heart attacks, and lately they've been dying from them the last, since we did the Jim Jones juice. Yeah. Well, this cardiac arrest survivor is not 70, 60, 50, wasn't in their 40s, not their 30s. No, 21-year-old. And this survivor says they're, quote, so grateful to have survived. 21-year-old heart attack victim. There are now cancer clusters in hospitals. Is it because the nurses and physicians are taking the Jim Jones juice? Or is it because they're administering so much of it, they're getting spike proteins shed at them all the time? Folks, I love horse paste. And states are starting to talk about and making it over the counter. I have prescription for it, and I take my horse paste monthly to make sure that spike proteins and such are destroyed. I detox. I also chew on cigars because nicotine destroys spike proteins. Protect yourselves, folks. Protect yourselves. You need to fucking protect yourself. I tell you what, right? I tell you what. All right, let's have some more fun. Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? Hit that super chat button right up there, and pow, it's Dan the Man Erickson. This is incredible. He wants to talk about Rosie O'Donnell. Woo! There's a stinky subject. Rosie O'Donnell moved to Ireland, probably hoping to get a jihad man. Liberalism is a mental disorder. It's a psychological disorder. Did you know that statistically speaking, it's now provable that to think the way they do, right? To be a liberal, you've got to be self-destructive. You've got to be willing to be violent. You've got to attack everyone, right? And be completely intolerant of everyone and everything. There's some screwy looking 60 to 70-year-old woman was on social media, and a lot of people have pasted this around because it's a libs of TikTok type thing. And she's like, I'm not going to date white men anymore. And I'm thinking, who would want to date you regardless of color? You ugly bitch. But still, people like Rosie O'Donnell, over in the UK, they hold up signs welcoming illegals who are washing up on the shores, saying with signs that read things like, my vagina's open for you. Unfucking believable. Liberals are willing to breed themselves out, give up. Remember when liberal women were all about women's rights? These radical feminist hags were all about, we hate men and we hate penises. And, what the fuck is wrong with them? Right now, they love men as long as they're from other countries, other cultures, and other races. It's about self-destruction. They are the cult of death. And this is why you must be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, and a means of self-defense. Literally, because of people like Rosie O'Donnell. People like her. The only reason that we know about her is because she was a celebrity at one point. Complete moron. But they're showing us who they are and what they want. They want to kill themselves. They want to kill babies. They want to kill us. They want to sterilize children. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And there is a huge continuing push in this country against the infidel Muslims and the infidel Israelis and anyone who's un-American. America is starting to wake up to the fact that our country's been infiltrated, folks. Just like England, just like Canada, Australia, just like Europe. Our country's been infiltrated and bought and paid for. Whether it's bought and paid for by China, England, banks, corporations, or Israel, it doesn't matter. Or the Middle East, right? You got the Saudis, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, the UAE, all these countries, right? They're all buying our politicians. Is that why we don't have an Epstein list out there? Because all of our politicians are bought and paid for? Would certainly seem that way, wouldn't it? Anyways, fuck Rosie O'Donnell, but don't. But she's not going to get to stay in Ireland. They told her, you've got to go back. You don't get to stay here. You can visit 30 days and then get the fuck out. I can't blame them. They got enough problems as it is, but they're not willing to invite in non-brown people. They don't want white people in Ireland. They want to destroy them. Conor McGregor, mixed martial arts champion extraordinaire, is being investigated and prosecuted. They're trying to prosecute him for violating their laws against speaking out against the invasion of their country. But Conor McGregor wants to save Ireland and their culture and who they are. Ireland, the country of redheaded women, right? And men. The ginger land. They're trying to protect it. And their own government has sold them out. Literally. I love how these backwards ass people from other countries go to Ireland and England and Scotland and Wales and France and Germany and Italy and Spain and Portugal and Canada and the United States of America and Australia. And then they complain that there's too many white people and they just don't feel like their culture is there. Well, of course not. It's not your fucking country. But this is what we're up against, folks. Are you prepared? Our own country, the United States of America, is turning on us. And we're trying to make America great again. And for some reason, members and folks, yes, the Make America Great Again movement has been infiltrated. If you didn't believe it before, you should believe it now. It's been infiltrated by agents of destruction. Trump needs to fire them as they come up. How'd they get through the vetting process? Anyone's guess. But, right, we need to get them out. Trump needs to get them out and fire them and make an example out of them. And we need some high-level arrests, period. We're going to have violence, folks. Are you prepared? Ooh, man, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got a great show going. We're an hour and 15 minutes in, and it's Carport Carl with a 762 Super Chat donation. And he says, Marxists and communists are on the loose in America. Yes, they are. These are the ones, this is BLM, Black Lives Matter, is trans black Marxists. And I'm not kidding. Antifa are communist white punks whose parents were rich enough to send them to college. They don't want to go to work, so they want to destroy America, much like the Bolsheviks in the Soviet Union when they took over. And the color revolution of communist China under Mao Zedong when he took over. Those are the Marxists and communists. Just keep me informed, Mr. Uman. Thank you, sir. We also have the pro-caliphate Sharia law Islamic invaders trying to get into our country. And they're being deported. A lot of them are being deported. If they're on student visas, they're being kicked out. They should not be allowed in this country. All of these foreign visa holders to get jobs in America, I'm sick of them. I'm done. Pakistanis gone. Indians gone. Just go back to your countries. We don't need you. We got plenty of smart people here that need jobs. In fact, maybe some of these college kids could trade in some of their worthless degrees and maybe go back and get a degree in something useful, or go to a trade school. How about that? Learn a fucking trade. Learn to work. Oh, I got to tell you, for all the people out there, these young idiots, when you make something with your hands, at the end of the day, you see it. Whether you work in a factory, in a mine, on a farm, in construction, in milling and manufacturing, I think I mentioned that, machining, you see something you make and you have a sense of accomplishment that goes with the paycheck and you feel good about yourself. Anyways, thank you, Carport Carl. That super chat button up there is how you get on the screen. Ooh, man, who's next? We've got Nancy Keg. Well, with a name like Keg or Kegger, I bet you get a lot of invites to parties, or you did. Oh, $20 super chat donation. She says, pick a special topic for us. Semper Fi, Prepared Mind family. Okay, where do we start? $20 super chat is a big topic. How about this? Zelensky. That's right. Voldemort, Z-Man, little homo Zelensky of Ukraine. Once World War III. The European supporters of Zelensky have emboldened the little bastard. Remember, he is a skinny jean wearing, light in the loafer, butt pirate. Zelensky is. He says he does not recognize the U.S. aid as loans. So all the military aid we gave him, he says, no, we don't owe you shit for that. You gave that to us. It wasn't a loan. He's not going to sign the mineral rights deal that Trump worked out. He's not going to meet with Vladimir Putin of Russia and end the war. No. So, I mean, how many times do I have to say it? You can't make a deal with this guy? How many times did Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance talk to the little cretin and then meet with Trump in person just to shit on Trump? And then after that, he's continuing to say, yeah, I'll do the deal. No, I won't do the deal. Yeah, I'll do the deal. No, I won't do the deal. You know why? Because he's going to get killed. Zelensky is going to be murdered by his own out. He's trying to not be killed because the European globalist World Economic Forum political types have let him know, you either keep this war going or you're a dead man. That's not going to be in any newspaper, folks. It's just a fact. So again, Putin's limousine exploded in an assassination attempt, and Putin's response, well, has been incoming all weekend. 3-2-1, boom. 3-2-1, boom. It's going to continue. Nancy, Zelensky wants us in World War III. They want a nuclear war. I don't. If Zelensky were to be killed and an election to install a actual leader that the people voted for, right now Zelensky is illegitimate. His term ended. They did not hold a re-election or an election. They have an illegitimate dictator, Zelensky. He's more like a dictator. Anyways, there you go. Thank you, Nancy, for the great support of the channel. Your guys' super chat donations keep the lights on, keep me plumb full of tuna fish and spam, as well as scotch, right? You guys also take care of this for me. And I do recommend in your food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine plans, make sure you have a substantial quantity of alcohol. If you're not a drinker, make it vodka. It is odor-free. It can be used for a whole lot more than just drinking. It can be used for barter, an antiseptic. It is a fire starter, right? A flammable. It's a painkiller. It's a depressant. It's an antidepressant. But it is extremely valuable. Alcohol is. Okay, let us continue. Mr. Uman, who's up next on the Prepared Mind channel? We've got Bump Truth Faction with a $5 super chat. He says, I think Vlad, meaning Vladimir Putin, is a good man. He pushes Christianity and manliness. Okay, Mr. Putin is, I think, respectable. He loves his country. He's Russian. No doubt about it. He is a Christian, and he is not allowing LGBTQA plus pedophilia, freakazoids, drag queens. None of that is allowed in Russia anymore. They're done. No pride flags allowed. It is a Christian nation, and they're not going to allow Satanism in any of its forms, even the most minute, small, tiny amount of Satanism not allowed. Now, the Muslims in Russia are Russian first and foremost. Their religious practices they keep to themselves. But they're Russians. and they obey their secular government, and they do not demand to have a caliphate, Sharia law, or any such thing. It is Russia. If you don't like that, you can leave Russia. I think Putin takes care of his country. He may be a little rough. Maybe a couple people have died as a consequence of pissing Vladimir Putin off. But understand this. How many people in America have been Arkancided by Hillary and Bill? How many people were Obamanized when they pissed off Big Mike? Like, I don't know, their chef who managed to drown in a little pond while paddleboarding on a fucking pond. I paddleboarded this weekend on an inflatable paddleboard in a fucking river with live alligators, folks. I managed to not get eaten or drown, but you go out in a cute little pond and you drown. Yeah. How many of, well, Seth Rich. Oh yeah. Whoops. Yeah. How many people have been killed in this country for politically opposing the government? JFK. There's one. RFK. There's another. How about Vince Foster during the Clinton administration? Took a walk in Marcy Park and took how many bullets to the back of the head, and they called it suicide? So I don't have any problem with Russia and the fact that, well, political opponents have been killed. Political naysayers have been killed. People have been arrested for violating their laws and their rules. Funny how all of Europe, the European Union, the World Economic Forum, they want to talk shit about Russia. But they don't have any problem, right? They got a problem with, well, being beaten and thrown in jail. But they don't have a problem with Islam. They don't have a problem with Jihad Joe. Once again, for those who don't know, here's Jihad Joe. These guys, these clowns right here. They capture little boys and rape them. They capture little girls and rape them, period. Kill them, stab them, burn their eyes out, cut their heads off. They kill and attack women and rape them. They kill and attack men. They steal, they lie, they cheat. They abuse, they intimidate. And we're supposed to worry about Vladimir Putin? I don't know of anybody that Vladimir Putin has raped. Anyways, yeah, under Sharia law, I don't think they have jail. They just cut your fucking hands and your head off. All right, let's continue if we shall, folks. This is SHTF, folks. This is bad stuff. Dan the Man Erickson is back, pow, with a $10 super chat. And he says, saw a good meme the other day. A picture of a young boy looking at a Playboy magazine. The title was Gender Study When I Was Young. Yeah, I mean, I had my fair share of Playboys and penthouses as a young man, and I figured out, hey, women, they look pretty good under them clothes, right? No problem there. What I do have a problem with is the overabundance and glamorization of pornography. And apparently many pornographic companies are being used to destroy the West, right? The proliferation of pornography, Pornhub, OnlyFans, these are being used by a culture in this world that wants to destroy America, and they're using pornography to destroy the family and marriages and common decency and good. I got to tell you, Dan, I got no problem with Playboy or the old version of it. You can practically go to the beach these days and you get to see everything but the nipple, right? It's crazy out there. But I've got to tell you, right? This is gender study. Today in school, no Playboys. Instead, they have books on how to be a homosexual, how to cut off your genitalia, how to satisfy an older man by giving him a blowjob if you're a little boy, right? And it's just horrifying what's going on. Yeah. The Communist Manifesto, folks. Communism was created by Karl Marx. It was a faulty political system that even Karl Marx said was awful. Karl Marx was an incredible racist. Karl Marx was also a Jew. And what he wanted to do was destroy the family and destroy the moral character and fiber of nations by destroying the family, destroying the value of the money, destroying business, destroying capitalism, and giving all the power to the government. Read the Protocols of the Elders of Sion if you want to read more about this evil, nefarious plan that is still being used today. And folks, it is one hell of a world, and it's a deep-ass rabbit hole when you go down it. What you learn. The best we can do is vote. Stay politically engaged with Washington, D.C. by writing, calling, texting, emailing, literally congress.gov, and calling the hotline there, the switchboard hotline, and talking to your representatives. I email mine, and I contact them on X. Here it is. Capital switchboard number right there, 202-224-3121. RhinoWatchCo.com keeps an eye on all the rhinos. That's Republicans in name only. But getting a hold of your senators and getting a hold of your congressmen and tell them America first. Not Europe first, not Canada first, not Australia first, not Israel first, not China first. America first and America only. Everyone else can be a trading partner. Everyone else can be a military ally. But their countries should never be above our country. Period. I also think that everyone who serves in government should only have one citizenship, and that's American citizenship. No dual citizenship. Not only for elected officials, but for bureaucrats as well, and judges. And all judges, I think, should be American. And there's so much wrong. And DOJ is exposing it, folks. The Department of Government Efficiency and the Trump administration is exposing what's going on. We just need Kash Patel and Pam Bondi to arrest somebody, for fuck's sake. We're at 360 people live, and it's going up. We're at, holy cow, we're at 90 minutes into the show. And as usual, the number grows as we go. So share the internet address. Share it on X, on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow. Right? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the heart. That's how the message grows and spreads. We're not a bunch of wackos, folks. The European Union, countries in Europe are now saying, you need to be prepared just in case something bad happens. Have food and water, right? They're telling their people to become preppers. They are a continent. They're a series of nations tied together with an unelected bureaucracy running it. You want to know what the deep state in Europe is? The European Union. They're unelected. Unelected bureaucrats telling the rest of the continent and every nation what to do. Ursula von der Leyen is a fucking liar and a complete piece of shit. Christine Lagarde is a criminal piece of shit. She runs the IMF. You got Keir Starmer in England. This is an absolute piece of shit. Folks, we're at war right now. And we're not violent. We're just trying to maintain our liberties and our nation. We have at our disposal the Constitution for these United States of America and the Declaration of Independence to serve as a guide in these troubled times. At some point, violence is going to visit us, and it's going to be up to you and I to protect ourselves and liberate our cities, our counties, and our states, if not our entire nation, from people who are un-American and who are satanic. That's right, satanic. Whether it's the synagogue of Satan or God's fools, right? The religious fools of Islam. That is a satanic, awful thing. Remember the book called The Satanic Verses? It was written by a man named Salman Rushdie when he exposed back in the 1980s Islam for what it is, a vile, murderous cult. That's not Islamophobia, folks. I've known some great, nice, wonderful Muslims because they're just good people, and that was the religion that was offered to them. But the ones that want to take over your country and your life and your family and your wealth and your daughters and your goats, they're not good people. But as far as them being Satanists, lovers of evil, right? Here you go. They held, and I covered this last week, in the state of Kansas, the United States of America, at the state capitol, Satanists held a black mass. Black mass is a ritual, a satanic ritual. And a Satanist there decided he was going to get violent and start punching people. Well, he got arrested, thankfully. But surprise, just like the the Democrats, Satanists are violent, they're deadly, they're hate-filled, and that's what they want. Destruction. Every transgender is unhappy with themselves, so they try changing their gender. They're still unhappy, so they're taking drugs. They're still unhappy, and then they go on violent, murderous rages, stabbing, killing their parents, their siblings, their friends in school, co-workers, or just shooting up a school or a mall or a restaurant or a church because they're unhappy. They're Satanists, meaning evil, folks. I am not going to allow myself to be a victim of that. I'm an American. I love my faith, which is to forgive people and be nice. And when being forgiving and nice doesn't work, you have to take more aggressive corrective action. But we have a Constitution and we have a Declaration of Independence. And that is my guidelines along with the Christian Bible. And by the way, Christianity really doesn't have a whole lot to do with Talmudic Judaism. In fact, it has nothing to do with Talmudic Judaism. And if you read the Bible, there's this part where Jesus goes into the temple, Jewish temple, and he takes a whip and he overturns the tables of the money changers and starts whipping the Talmudic Jews. There's a lot about Christ that a lot of people don't want to talk about. This is not a religious show. It's about right and wrong. So we'll continue from there. Let's have some more fun, folks. Fun. We're almost at 400 people live, by the way. And Uman says, Steve Demetrius did a $5 super chat. And he says, if you don't believe Signal could have installed a mole to add that journalist's name to that message, then you get a face palm. Ooh, that fucking hurt. Oh, good one, John. Thanks for the face palm, Steve Demetrius. Yeah, thank you for the super chat donation, pal. And understand this. Understand this, yes. All computers are hackable. All programs are hackable. Everything has a backdoor. Everything has a backdoor. Because the NSA, the CIA, Mossad, the Chinese, all want backdoors into the technology so they can see what you're saying, thinking, and doing. So if you're going to send topless pictures to your boyfriend, if you're going to send weenie pics to your girlfriend, expect at some point they're going to go out on the internet. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. RFK Jr. is now being blackmailed. It appears to be blackmailed by an Israeli because he's been appearing with the Israeli flag a lot lately, and he's made anti-Semitism a health issue. I thought MAHA, the Make America Healthy Again, had to do with poisons in our food, poisons in the air, poisons in the water, not anti-Semitism. Anyways, I believe that, Signal is definitely not the most perfect thing. It's the most secure that I've heard of, but I don't think it's perfect. In fact, nothing is safe, even Bitcoin. Even Bitcoin, which has, last I checked, started going back down. It went down just below 80,000, back up to, I think, 88,000, and now it's dropped back again. Certainly not a store of wealth, certainly not digital gold. It is what it is. It's a speculative digital asset that is vulnerable. Everything is vulnerable unless you hold it. Unless you hold it. That is wealth that is not vulnerable unless you come and kill me for it. Anyways, let us have some more fun. Thank you, Steve. Great hearing from you again, man. Long-time listener and contributor, Steve Demetrius. And I want to thank everybody who is a premium member on the preparedmind.club and a premium member on subscribestar.com. And currently, Bitcoin is at 82,000. It's about 18,000 off its, no, it's almost 30,000 off its all-time high. 25,000 off its all-time high, folks. Woo! That's not good. All right, well, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. This, on the other hand, gone up 50% in the last 14 months. Same with gold. Crazy business. I'll stick with real coins. I wish I had more of them. But, you know, wealth is what it is, and you got what you got. And right now we've got a constitution, a Declaration of Independence, backing us up as we back or head face first into SHTF. Who's up next? Who, man? Oh, we got a lot to talk about, folks. Oh, it's Robin G with a $20 super chat donation. And he says, do you think the tariffs on foreign-made vehicles and parts will actually go through on April 2nd? It's supposed to be a 25% tariff. Ouch. I believe that this is how Trump negotiates. He goes in and says, well, I'm going to ask for this much or threaten this much, but I'll settle for less. Unless he's just dead set against this. I think Trump has been pointing out, and during his first term as president, he also said, look, the world is getting a free ride off of us. NATO, all of the other European nations weren't paying into NATO. It was like 80%, 90% America. That's got to end. And he said, you're going to have to pay your own way. We're not going to support you. When it comes to tariffs, as discussed, European automakers or European countries tariff the shit out of American vehicles. Canada tariffs the shit out of all American products. I think Trump is going to go through with them unless they capitulate. And I don't think they're bright enough. I know they would love to save face, right? But the tariffs, I think, are going to go through. And there's something else that's supposed to happen on April 2nd. I do not know what it is. I have no inside information. What this surprise is going to be. You know what one of the biggest fucking shockers would be? People on the Epstein list being revealed and then arrested. That'd be a shocker I'd like to see. Look, folks, we already know the economy's ruined. The military's in trouble. Our nation is infiltrated. We got our enemies amongst us from foreign. We have domestic enemies in this country, political enemies. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get any better. Economically, monetarily, financially. I think there's a significant percentage of the country is behind on their mortgage payments. We're having a lot of trouble, and it's not going to be better, folks. It's going to get nasty. Nasty. We're looking at a 1929 type crash. Possible. We could lose 30, 50, 80% more on the stock market. We're going to find out. Nothing I can do. I'm not Warren Buffett. I can't pump $350 billion back into the stock market, but that's the deal. And remember this, please understand, right? These tariffs are not going to hurt rich people. What do they care if they got to pay another 10% or 25% for their Ferrari or their Bentley or their Rolls or their Mercedes? What do they care? It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing to them. But to the average person, me and you, it's going to make a big difference. It's going to make a big difference. When the super rich, right, when the market collapses, that money doesn't catch on fire and burn. When people sell, they put the money in their account, these rich fuckers and banks, and the cash sits there while the price falls. As they pull more and more money out, the market falls and falls and falls. When people push money into the market, it inflates and inflates and inflates and goes up. Right now, American investors are more committed to the stock market than ever, while the market simultaneously is weaker than it has ever been and more at risk than it has ever been. We're in the everything bubble. And the average American has 29% of their savings in the stock market. Not a good formula, folks. While people like Warren Buffett and others are pulling their money out and they're sitting on the sidelines waiting for the crash so they can buy the country at a tremendous discount. For you and me, I think the best way is to protect yourself with silver and gold after you've bought the other precious metals, which is lead, copper, brass, and cold blue steel. The Second Amendment, folks. And that is going to be the United States of America's saving grace, the Second Amendment. Have your faith. Have your Second and First Amendment, folks. And it's going to be a rocky, bumpy ride. Ooh, man, who's next? I know we got a lot going on out there, and it's Diorce checking in with a $56.50 Super Chat donation. Woo! Good golly. Good golly, indeed. That is a great one right there, and that means I get one of those. A 15-year single malt Glenlivet Scotch. I've tried some other scotches lately, and they just aren't as good. Folks, we're just a few people away live from having 400 people live. Diorce, here's to you, brother. Semper Fi. God bless America. Nice. Bam. He says this is Diorce. He says, Joker, Better Bachelor, and Andrew Wilson were briefly discussing the ulterior reasons why the United States was talking about allowing HB1 visas. It has to do with the declining birth rates in the United States. The religious types, primarily Muslim, reproduce the most. Now, here's the deal. This is the vicious circle that I'm familiar with. You take Mr. and Mrs. Joe American, and they're working around the clock, right? They're working around the clock, living their lives. It used to be the man works, the woman stays home, they have kids, and that single income was enough to send the kids to school, buy the house, buy the car, live a decent middle-class life, working around the clock. Then they started raising taxes. The communist progressive income tax the United States has adopted under Congress raises taxes, and we have less and less money to spend. So now, not just the husband and wife, now they're both working around the clock 5, 6, 7 days a week to make ends meet to raise their children. They're like, children are expensive. It's not free to have children. It costs $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to have a child. Unless you have the best insurance, and it still costs money. So they can't afford to have 4 or 5 kids. Where are you going to put them? How are you going to feed them? How are you going to clothe them? You can't afford to have children in this country. So Mr. and Mrs. America, who are working 1 job each, 2 jobs each, maybe they'll have 1 or 2 children, but they're not going to have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The old days, like my mother's family, for example, had my mom, my aunt, my other aunt, my uncle, my other uncle, my other uncle. That's 6. That was normal. My mom had 3. I had 2. So if they want reproduction, lower the fucking taxes. Take away the bankers' ability to screw us out of our money on Wall Street, right? And Trump is talking about doing a lot of good things, removing the income tax. Fuck, if I got a 40% fucking raise, that would be substantial. I'm a little past my child rearing days, but young people would have the ability and feel like, oh, I could buy a house. I can have a family. I can have kids. We don't need these people from other countries who come here, have a shit pile of kids, and they're on welfare and getting kickbacks and freebies, and they're living 5 families in a house because they're used to doing that in India, Pakistan. It's complete bullshit. And I get why they're getting away with it, Diorce, because they come from a country, India or Pakistan or Afghanistan or any of these other stands or countries, where it doesn't matter how poor you are, you have as many kids as you can because, well, that's just what you do, right? Because Allah says, right? Well, God also said, our God, our Christian God said, be fruitful, go forth and multiply. But Uncle Sam And these destructive, anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-Christian governments are like, no. Have abortions. Have your kids get sex changes, gender modification, sterilization. Bill Gates says, let's sterilize people with Jim Jones juice and other injectables. Right? So they let these Muslims come over. They don't have the Jim Jones juice. They give them all kinds of money, free housing. And then they say, yeah, keep having a bunch of kids. They're out reproducing Europeans, and that's how they're taking over Europe, as well as importing more and more and more of these worthless, uneducated, unskilled, inbred North Africans, Middle Easterns. It's incredible to watch, folks. The destruction of civilized humanity by a bunch of backwards ass fucking weirdos from around the world, all at the behest of the elitist World Economic Forum, New World Order types who are billionaires who want to have their white skin, their families be the elites at the top, while everyone below them is a mongrelized bunch of retards with a filthy religious belief system. It's incredible. And I'm speaking the facts and the truth as I see it. How do you see it? What's on your mind? Man says single-family homes became the norm instead of multi-generational homes, all contributing factors to that. Grandma got replaced by daycare. This is another thing. Yes, the old American family system was, well, grandma and grandpa moved to one bedroom, and the son or the head of house takes over the house, gets married, and has a bunch of kids, and grandma and grandpa are there to raise the kids, teach morals, teach work ethic, teach old traditions, cultures, and customs, and keep them going. And this leapfrogging generation has gone on for hundreds of years, teaching work ethic, morality. And that got destroyed. It got destroyed. You know, get out of here, right? Grandma and grandpa out. Crazy stuff. By the way, my grandson today is 2 years old. And I called him on the phone and talked to him. And he is just a little rascal. He ran, telling me all about his birthday party. It was great. You know, I wish I could be there to be the grandpa in his life. In fact, well, I'll save that surprise for later. You guys understand that Uman is absolutely right. A house used to be multi-generational. Kids, parents, grandparents. What do we have now? We have parents, if they're lucky to have any kids, kids being raised by a bunch of Fruit Loop colored freaks in school, teaching them about communism and anal sex and cutting off your genitals. They come home and then lie to their parents. Yeah, I learned something. They can't read. The reading level of a graduating high school student is abysmal, horrifying. Their math ability is horrifying. Their understanding of history, geography, horrifying. And that's what they want. A stupid, dumbed down population. We're going in reverse. We're not evolving, we're devolving. And now they're bringing in all this third world gang-related Islamic trash. This trash, MS-13, Trends to Uruguay, trash. Mexican drug cartel, trash. Drugs from China coming through Canada and Mexico, trash. They're trashing us, folks. So there's two ways this goes. America disappears, Canada disappears, Europe disappears. Russia's not having any of it. But we're all going to disappear unless we fight back. And we're going to start with the political fight. We're going to move on to a violent fight because they'll become violent. They're already violent. It's coming. We're down to 10 minutes left, and I know we've got some more super chats out there, some more things we want to discuss. You guys, it's your show. Mike McDonald checks in with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Big Mike. He says, John, they have a major infiltration in the trucking industry. Be aware, God bless us all. These are the CDLs you keep hearing about, commercial driver's licenses. These people are coming from other countries and states, and I'm sorry to say, even the state of Florida is just handing them out like fucking candy. And they're drinking drunk. They're drinking and driving drunk. They can't read English. They can't speak English. They don't follow the rules. And they're crashing and killing Americans. That is. And they work for practically fucking nothing because they're idiots and they're getting government subsidies. So they're killing the American trucking industry and American truckers. Whether you work for a major corporation or whether you're a Jippo and you're hauling your own trailer or hauling everyone else's trailer with your tractor. I'm talking about a semi-truck. Yeah, we have a serious problem hiring these people because you think, wow, you can work a 10-speed, then, hey, you got a job. Well, there's a whole lot more to it than just being able to shift a truck and get it up to speed. Oh, it's crazy. It's a crazy world, folks. Yeah. God save us and God bless us as well. Thank you, Mike McDonald, for the super chat and the topic. Be careful out there, folks. It is crazy with the number of people on the road, and they're fleeing some areas and going to others. Man, who's up next? We got Dan the Man Erickson. I'm feeling a little dry with a $50 super chat donation. I tell you, man, there it is right there. That's it. Oh, I poured it a little tall there, Dan. I thank you, sir. He says, you're a little dry. Drink up. I'm trying to stay calm, but you know what these things do? They kind of loosen the lips and get my mind going, and I tell you guys exactly what I'm thinking. just folks, a scotch. Just a incredible whiskey. He says, prep for the worst and hope for the best is my motto. If the shit hits the fan, if it happens, I'm good unless it's nuclear. Hope the fuck not. Now, even if it's nuclear, go on YouTube, go to Amazon or anywhere and get potassium iodide, not iodine, potassium iodide tablets. In case of a nuclear or atomic incident, you need potassium iodide to flood your system and make sure your thyroid is full of potassium, because what happens is you get cesium, radioactive cesium. You inhale it, you ingest it, it gets in your skin and it gets absorbed, whatever, and it goes to your thyroid and it gives you cancer, and then you die of thyroid failure. Potassium iodide stops that. Also, gas masks. Get NBC gas masks, nuclear, biological, chemical gas masks. Nuclear, right, to help filter out radioactive material. You can survive radioactive fallout, folks, but not if you're not prepared. You must be prepared for it. I'm not telling people to go buy mop gear, which is basically activated charcoal suits, literal suits you wear that are just full of activated charcoal. You take it off at the end of the day and you got little black dots all over you. I dealt with that. I don't have a mop suit, but I do have the gas masks, and I do understand that you scrub the living shit out of yourself if you go outside and there's radiation. Anyways, I probably should get a mop suit. I just hate it. It's hot. It's uncomfortable. And but anyways, thank you, Mr. Dan, very much for that great $50 super chat. Mr. Uman, who's up next? We've got Chin Music with a $4.99. He's back. And he says, better hope I'm not the one that catches some freak harming a child. I hear you, man. I absolutely hear you. People are waking up to this. When you see a child who does not belong with someone who looks completely different, or if it's old men with children, boys and girls, little boys and girls, the kids are silent. The kids are scared. It doesn't look right. I'm not saying get involved in everything you see, but then there's that harming a child, trying to grab the folks. There's videos everywhere of these Muslim invaders trying to kidnap children right from their parents, out of strollers, out of their arms. Be prepared. You've got to be prepared for this. Whether it's kidnapping, molestation, stabbing, you've got to be prepared. People like Chin Music, people like Dan the Man, people like Robin G, people like Bonnie Blue, people like Ooman, people like John, Dr. John, and the other John. Got lots of Johns. John M, you know who you are. John up in New York, you know who you are. Frank, don't mess with Frank. There's so many good people. Big Mike, close to DC. Mike, you know who you are. Out on the West Coast, right at Cottage Farm. You got lots of Johns over there. Anyways, I know you guys are good guys. Be prepared. That's all I can say. All right, let's have some more fun. We're running out of time, but I know we got a lot to talk about still. Let's keep going. We'll go past 2 hours, folks. Don't you worry. Boomer's back with another $20 super chat. And he says, America under Trump is the best bastion of the free world because the rest of the free world, has been swallowed up by a cancer. It, meaning the United States of America, is really our last hope, but it also has cancer. Yes, indeed. It also has cancer. America is infected with this wokeism, woke ideology, which includes diversity, equity, and inclusion. It includes environmental social governance. It includes liberalism. It includes cultural sabotage and suicide by BLM, Antifa, Hamas, Palestine, and other Islamic jihadist crap. Sharia law. Yes. But America is the best and last chance for the world. If America can pull out of this, then the world can follow. That means you guys and me, us calling, writing, texting, messaging, whatever it takes. Washington, D.C., the state capital, and us being active on the street. These leftist folks, these Democrats, the approval rate for Democrats is down to like 27% or 26%. People like Jasmine Crockett, fucking retarded racist. People like Hakeem Jeffries, discount Obama, retarded racist. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens are all still there. George Soros is still funding our destruction. Zark Zuckerberg is still lying about everything. The banking cartels are trying to take over everything. We need freedom and liberty. If Trump can accomplish that, then that's good. And Canada, Boomer, Canada can follow and save themselves. But we need one example of freedom and liberty and prosperity. And that's what the United States did in 1776. And then again in 1789. Declaration was 1776. The Constitution came about in 1789. Before that, we had the Articles of Confederation for the United States. It wasn't considered strong enough for a national government, so they rewrote it and did the Constitution. And it made America free, a land of liberty and law and order and justice. Ultimately became a land of equality. And now it's a land of inequality, giving special privileges to the haters of our country, our faith, our laws, our culture, and traditions. So be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. And that last scotch just hit me pretty hard. Woo! There it is. Loose lips sink ships, and other lips from my lips to your ears, and your thoughts here to everyone else's ears. Going to save this country and this world. Fight hard, folks, like it matters, because it does. If we don't win, we lose. Ooh, man, who's up next? We got Dan the Man Erickson back again. Woo! With another $10 super chat. He says, I have $25,000 in gold at $3,000 an ounce, folks. He's got eight ounces of gold there. And $3,000 in silver, plus my 401k plan and my savings, not including my yeah, this guy's got me, man. Copper, brass, and lead, pew pew. Folks, wealth. I think what Dan is saying, he's not bragging, but A lot of his wealth he's holding and possesses. Your 401k is at risk. Anyone who has anything in the stock market is at risk. Anyone who has a lot in the bank is at risk. If you don't own it, you don't. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. Like I said, that scotch is working. Keep as much as you can safely in your own possession. You can bury your wealth in the yard in a PVC pipe tube. That's called midnight gardening. Just make sure your neighbors aren't watching you, right? You can do all kinds of things to protect your money. Put it in your attic, right? Bury it in the wall, whatever you need to do, but get your wealth and protect it. And then, of course, copper, brass, and lead, guns, Second Amendment. Protect yourself like your life depends on it, because I think your life is going to depend on it. And I think it's brilliant of you, Dan the Man. And I know that's a lot of money sitting there. $28,000 in value. Good job, man. And it's crazy. Uman says, keep an eye on precious metals tomorrow. Silver is almost back to $35. It was over $35, folks, on Friday. They knocked it back below. Gold is at $31.23. Could be an interesting day. Silver dropped, yeah. Now it's already climbing back, is what it sounds like. Good news for reality. What do I mean by that? Reality. What is real? What isn't? Paper money is the illusion of wealth, because it used to be based on gold and silver. Now it's not. It's completely disassociated, but it's based on its, shall we say, availability and everyone's willingness to accept it. Back in the 1920s, after World War I and before World War II, Germany got in trouble financially. They were being hurt by war reparations they had to pay. And their money went from being right there, the Weimar Republic, the Deutschmarks, I believe, or marks, if you will. And they became worthless. Worthless, meaning you would take a wheelbarrow of money to buy a loaf of bread. That's what too much currency, because paper money is currency. This is real money. Silver and gold in the Constitution, that's real money. Paper can be printed to infinity, you know, modern monetary theory, and become worthless, valueless. So silver, gold, it's going to be an interesting week. Tomorrow, an interesting day, because they're trying for a silver squeeze. Like I said, this is very much like the AMC GameStop, where they squeezed it. They hurt the banks and the rich people who were trying to screw everyone, and they ended up screwing the bankers, hurting them. We've got it could happen with silver, which has been damaged punitively. Gold or silver should be at about $150 to $175 an ounce. Gold should be somewhere around $10,000, 8 to 10, if they didn't manipulate the price to keep it down. So it is a safe place to keep your wealth, this stuff. And there's a good chance it's going to go up in value. That is not financial or investment advice. It is just my observations. Thank you very much, Mr. Uman. Who's up next? We got a couple things to talk about. We've gone past 2 hours, but we got a lot of shit. And Donald Blake checks in with a $20 super chat. He says, I don't know if Bondi, meaning the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, don't know if Bondi will go after the big Democrat criminals, but she promised to go after the fraudsters Musk has caught. Well, here's my opinion, Donald. They're the same motherfucking people. They're the same people. The Democrats who are part of the fraud are the same Democrats who are part of voter fraud, investment fraud, you said another government spending fraud, as well as the Epstein client list, as well as the murder for hire, the intimidation, the threats. They're pushing violence. Anyways, I wanted to just arrest somebody, right? For the love of God, arrest somebody, right? Do something other than appear on Fox News. Is April 2nd going to be the day finally? They promised the Epstein list day one. I thought day one was a couple of months ago, not next month or the month after. There's a reason for it, folks. There's a reason for it. We're going to find out whether it's a good reason or a bad reason, whether it's acceptable or not. I just want to find out. I would rather take my chance with all of these Democrats and rhino Republicans who are thieves, crooks, pedophiles, mobsters. I would rather have them exposed and arrested and have our country go into turmoil, SHTF, for a month or 2 months or 6 months while they're being caught, run down, arrested, thrown in prison, all of their acolyte fools in Antifa, BLM, and all of their idiotic political fucking troglodytic morons. Let them get violent and we'll solve our problems, right? What is the deal with chemotherapy? If our country has cancer, going back to Boomer's comment, and you guys, that your comments, your thoughts have a big impact on how I think and what I think about and how I approach my thoughts. But if we're going to use the analogy, the world and America has a cancer. What is chemotherapy? Even though I don't agree with chemotherapy as the best solution, but that's what they push. Chemotherapy, the idea is to kill the cancer with toxic chemical therapy, right? Toxic chemicals. The idea is to kill the cancer before it kills you. So if we've got to cure the cancer in our country, we've got to kill it before it kills us. Now, horse paste, they've discovered, kills parasites. That's what it was created for. And they've also discovered that if you kill parasites, cancer goes away. In other words, it appears to be a link between parasitic infection in our brains, our spinal cords, our hearts, our bodies. You kill the parasites, the cancer goes away. What an interesting notion in government if we get rid of the parasites, the people living off the host, the non-productive parasites in government and out in the public sector. If they are eliminated, and I'm not pushing for violence, I'm just throwing this out there. If you eliminate parasites or convert non-productive people back into productive people by taking away their freebies, their welfare, and say, go to work. All the illegals are gone. Why don't you go work in a hotel, work in a restaurant, go pick some lettuce, go pick some tomatoes, go drive some trucks, get a job. And Trump is opening up the mining industry, the drilling industry, right? Because we have incredible mineral reserves in this country, folks. Incredible energy reserves in this country. All right, let's get Donald. Thank you very much. It was a late super chat, but you're in. Ooh, man, who's up next? We've got Brad Jones checking in with a $3 super sticker. Thank you, Brad. Brad's been a long time contributor as well. I appreciate it when we see him. And now, Mr. Uman, have we got one more? Are we looking good? And it's Diorce. Woo! He's back with another $20 super chat. Uno momento, por favor. And he says, I want to know when Pam Bondi, Attorney General, and Kash Patel, Director of the FBI, the two highest law enforcement officers in the nation on the federal level, I want to know when they are going to strike down the NFA. I want to know when suppressors are going to be removed from the NFA registry. When is the Hughes Act, the 1986 machine gun ban, finally going to be repealed? Well, there's a big set of question marks in here. We've got the ATF as a bureaucracy and a deep state tool of control and attack on our Second Amendment and Constitution. They need to be destroyed. You said USAID got moved under the State Department, and Marco Rubio eliminated it altogether. It is now completely dead. Trump didn't do it. Marco Rubio did. And Marco Rubio, former Florida state senator, federal senator from Florida, who I considered a rhino has turned out to be a charging bull. I'm very proud of the man, and I'm going to give him kudos. Like I said, you fuck up, I'll criticize you. Like Pam and Cash aren't doing shit that we can see. You want America to be excited, energetic, ready to kick some ass? We'll make some fucking arrests, and we'll be right behind you the whole way. Hell, give us authority. We'll be in front of you doing it for you. Give us the names. We'll go get them. You tell me Chin Music won't go get them? Are you telling me that Dan the Man won't go get them? Americans, Redneck Roughneck will go get them? Yeah. National Firearms Act, NFA, needs to be done away with. Suppressors should be completely legal. Machine guns, completely legal. If you understand Constitution, common law, and American history, the colonists had the best firearms that were available and known to man at the time, from smoothbore muskets to rifles. Rifle barrels, puts a spin on the bullet, projectile, makes it more accurate. They had cannon. They had everything the military had, if they could afford it. And I believe that's the way it should be now. That's the way it should be now. We need to get that shit. There's a lot to do, I get it. But you want the country behind you? You want excitement? You want enthusiasm? You want support? You want the American people jazzed? Make some fucking arrests, Pam. For the love of God, make an arrest. All right, folks, we've gone to 2 hours and 11 minutes, a little bit overtime. I want to thank every last one of you for showing up. The great donations keep the lights on, keep the scotch flowing, keep the spam, and also bacon. I like bacon. And I think I'm going to dip every one of my projectiles. Just spin a little spam on them. Just the tiniest amount of pork product will keep those goat fuckers out of their version of heaven. Uman says we got another super chat just showed up late and it's $5 super chat. And he says, yep, like Chin, I'm the guy. If you mess with me, you're going to have a painful day in the hospital tomorrow. There's a lot of us just like that, Dan, and I'm glad you're that man. That's why I call you Dan the Man. Look, we need more powerful men. We need women using their brains and their brawn and being American. Folks, the women of the colonial Americans were tough as nails. Right? This whole idea of Betsy Ross being the ideal woman back there, she knitted a flag. There was way more than that, folks. While the men were fighting, the women were taking care of their ranches, and their sons were. It is in other words, what I'm trying to get at, and I'm sorry, a little dizzy from the old scotch, but in order for a nation to liberate itself, it's not just the military. It is everybody coming together and eliminating the enemy. And I also want you to understand, going back in history again, as a great lesson, 80% of the colonies or colonists, 4 out of 5 American colonists supported the King of England and were willing to kiss his ass and shine his fucking shoes. 20% either fought in or supported American liberty and freedom. The rest were a bunch of pussies and wimps. It doesn't take all of us. It just takes enough of us. So you become that warrior, that fighter for freedom, folks. You become them. Because we can't count on Maggot Mike Johnson. Holy shit. Yankee Watchdog says you can't leave without one more drink. Oh, I'm going to be in trouble. Trouble for John. But I tell you what. This gouge in my forehead, which got glued back together nicely. Thank you, Doc. It was just one of the weird thing. Anyways, doesn't hurt so much. In fact, quite numb. It's topical as well. Woohoo! It fucking burns. Anyways, thank you, Yankee Watchdog. Yes, sir. Wow. It is showtime, folks. Chance favors the prepared mind. Thank you, Yankee Watchdog. Thank you. Chin, thank you, everybody. Good golly, I'm in trouble. Uman says, have a great night, folks. Thanks for coming out to play. See you tomorrow afternoon, unless John runs into ninjas again. And it'll be 0 dark 30 in the morning. If I can wake up, shake the cobwebs out, and head on down the road, folks. But in all sincerity, I love you all. God bless America. Semper Fi means always faithful. God, country, your belief system in America. Woo! And off we go. Boy, that's hitting me hard. I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Take care.